Hiya folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this wonderfully warm and sunny British summer's day. And as well as it being very hot today, DJI have gone ahead and given us a new firmware update for the RC screen controller that comes with the Mini 3 Pro. Now there is no firmware update for the drone itself, but the firmware update for the controller has brought the DJI Fly App up to date to version 1.6.9, which was previously made available on your Android and or iOS devices. And along with the Fly App update, the firmware fixes a number of issues and crashes that some people have been having when flying for prolonged periods of time. Now, I've not experienced this myself, but then I haven't flown a lot on 1.6.9 so far due to an unfortunate incident that I had to sort out. Regardless, we've got the update now on the screen controller, and since it is such a hot day, me and the family, or should I say the family and I, are just going to be heading out for a nice walk in the country, and we'll take our little friend with us and put this new update to the test. See you out and about. So on our family walk, we found ourselves in this secluded wood, which was very quiet actually. And since there was no other people around, I just wanted to take the time to test the obstacle avoidance, because this is something that can sometimes go amiss with various firmware updates. Now, everything worked as normal, so that was absolutely fine. But just remember as well that the obstacle avoidance on the Mini 3 Pro is only three-way. There's nothing on the top. Okay, so be careful of tree branches that may be hovering above the Mini 3 Pro, because if you go up, you're going to hit them. It's not going to see them. But honestly, this footage is something I could have recorded on my phone. I understand that, but I really just wanted to make sure that we were, pushing this firmware through its paces, and that's what these tests are all about. And the other features I tested out all seem to be working okay as well, without any untoward consequences of the update. And that includes the active track and follow me modes. And folks, if you are enjoying this DJI Mini 3 Pro video, please do remember to subscribe, and then you shall be notified, if YouTube does its job, of future updates when I post them. Thank you. And our adventure had taken us now into this clearing, which I thought would be a great opportunity to get the drone itself out for another flight. And we can see the cathedral spires down in the background there. One thing I do want to mention is that even though this was recorded in the morning, it had already started to get very, very warm. The temperatures outside were in the mid-30s, which is very unusual here in this part of the UK. But it's worth noting because the operating temperature for the Mini 3 Pro is rated up to 40 degrees, okay? And those are temperatures we are going to be hitting over the next couple of days in the UK, and we really shouldn't be flying the drone there. You know, when the drone overheats, that can obviously cause damage, but it's also something that could cause the motors to turn off. You know, in order to protect the drone from overheating, that can happen. Now, I presume there are safety features in place, which would mean that the drone would land before it did that, but that is not something I've tested. So just be careful if you are flying in the UK in these unusually hot temperatures at the moment. Okay, it's not only us that need to hydrate with water and what have you. The DJI Mini 3 also will be getting very hot. But this particular flight was about 15 minutes long, and the drone was okay. And I've got to tell you, we really enjoyed this. We had such a great time together as a family flying the Mini 3 Pro out and about, and we got some nice shots as well. Of course, for the purposes of this video, I am focused on the performance of the latest firmware update with the controller, and honestly, I am satisfied with it. There doesn't seem to be anything untoward in terms of bugs, at least not what I've experienced. And at the very least now, the RC controller has been brought up to date with the iOS and Android devices, since everything is now running on 1.6.9. So it's nice to have that uniformity between all the devices, at least until the next update comes out. I'm sure us RC users will be waiting for a while for that. And one feature I never need an excuse to test is the Hyperlapse feature. This is one of my favourite features with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I really do enjoy using it. And what I tend to do in order to set the hyperlapse mode up is just have it on fixed path, sorry, course lock it's called. And on course lock, I tend to have it at a 2-second interval with 0.5 meters per second speed. And then I'll either have 8 or 10-second videos being recorded. And what the course lock does is it just means the Mini 3 Pro is going to slowly move forwards from the direction it's facing when you start the hyperlapse until the end of the hyperlapse. Now, sadly, this is not the best day to be recording a hyperlapse. And why is that when it is so sunny and beautiful out here? Well, that's because it's not very cloudy. And honestly, for the most beautiful hyperlapses, you need to have cloud movement. It creates such an awesome effect that there is very little that can compete with it in terms of a cinematic look. If you guys haven't used the hyperlapse feature on the Mini 3 Pro yet, or if you haven't used it with the sky in shot as I'm doing now, then you really need to try this out. But as I say, don't do it on a day that I'm doing it on, where you've just got still clouds in the sky that ain't moving. Do it where that you've got big fluffy clouds that are sort of rolling through the sky, even though they will look slow to your eyes. On the hyperlapse, they twist their shapes and they move far more quickly. It's just such a stunning effect that you can't really explain it. Also, when recording hyperlapses, I do recommend the use of an ND filter. At the time of recording the one you're seeing now, you can see I have manual settings at a 1/60 shutter speed, and that's because I'm using an ND64 filter. Now, the reason you want to use an ND filter when you're doing a hyperlapse, even if there's not a huge amount of movement, is because you're recording over such a long period of time and condensing that down to a very, just a few seconds really for the finished video. Any exposure changes that are automatically adjusted throughout that recording are going to interfere with the overall effect of the hyperlapse. So if you can find your manual settings with an ND filter and keep those fixed throughout the hyperlapse, that's going to create a far better consistent look. So I'm using the FreeWell filters, but obviously other brands are available. And here is the finished look. So there we have the 1.6.9 Fly App update on the RC controller, along with that new firmware update. And the drone does seem to be flying without any issues with this combination. But if you do have any problems, then do, as always, please share those down in the comment section. We do know that sometimes with these new firmware updates, a few new bugs tend to creep in, and then we have to wait for the next update in order to fix them, which will tend to bring in its own problems as well. So it's a bit of a cycle that DJI have going, but hey, it's always fun to test these things out. So thank you so much again for stopping by, and please remember to subscribe for future videos. I've been Simon, and I'll see you next time. Bye everybody.